Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today is Thursday, June 30th, 2022. It is the last day of June. I am Solid Blue Sister, and this is my turn to talk. Welcome, King Ziller, and welcome, Heiko. Zilla, you are number one, and Heiko, you are number two. Lurock, welcome. You are number three. Welcome, welcome. Yes, Heiko, it has been a minute. Yes, it has. Frankie, you are number four. Ninja Bunny, welcome, welcome. You are number five. And to anyone who is joining over on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, welcome, welcome. We had Green Sunrise putting in a lot of input yesterday, or adding a lot of input yesterday over on YouTube. Bob jumped over there a little bit to talk to him, and Grit was there. So welcome, 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 Brina. Welcome. I think I am going to stop it. Uh-oh. Hold on here. There we go. Okay, I am going to stop it here. I'm pushing a lot of buttons here, so I apologize. Okay, so today, welcome, Sam. I am. Welcome, welcome. So today I want to talk about you're invading my space. What do you do when people invade your space on a plane, bus, restaurant, anywhere? In the ladies' room, in the men's room. You're just sitting on a park bench. What do you do? Do you let it go or do you call them out? And why do people invade personal space? Now, the definition, and I looked up a couple of definitions of invading someone's space, and I'm going to put this down in the chat here. And this is what everyone, well, most places, not everyone, but most resources said, that it is to place oneself too close to someone. Okay, Heiko says, I would fight, I think. And Sam says, I will usually say, excuse me, and move out of the way and give them the side on. Okay, but if it's your space, Sam, why are you moving out of the way? Shouldn't they move out of the way if they're invading your personal space? I mean, it was your space first, right? Welcome, Tyrone, and welcome, Augustine. So, see, I'm sorry, Brina says, I give a side eye and sometimes say something if they don't get the hint, okay? And Lou says, if someone is too close behind me, I back up into them on purpose. Okay, and Sam says, trying to be the bigger person while putting out that they're an ass. Okay, all right. I get it. I totally get it. When you look at this, hold on one second. Okay. See. Okay, Zilla, I did get you. I thought I had missed you. Okay, so when you look at something like that, where you're moving out of the way and you're giving them the stink eye, do you think that you're actually really getting your point across? I mean, do you think that they're really getting it? I mean, like when I'm at the market and I'm checking out, welcome, chill. How are you? When I'm at the market and someone is too close behind me, to prevent that, what I do now is when I'm checking out, I have my cart behind me because no one's going to push your cart. No one's going to push your cart out of the way. They have to wait until I finish, taking my things out and putting it up on the belt or the conveyor belt, whatever that is. And then when I move my cart, and depending upon who's behind me and if they're being like trying to invade my space, I don't move my cart until I'm literally saying thank you and I'm leaving the store. Other times I will, take my stuff out and I'll get behind my cart. But, you know, that's my way of telling someone without saying it, you're invading my space. I mean, I've had people where I'm at the market. I don't know, maybe this has happened to you, that you're putting your stuff up on the counter, and as the conveyor belt is moving, you're still putting your stuff up on the counter. And I've had other people literally start putting their stuff up on the counter while I'm still trying to get my stuff on the counter. I'm looking at them, and they're like, and this one particular lady said, "Oh, just move my stuff out of the way." And I literally said to her, "Then why don't you stop putting your things up here?" And I literally shoved all of her stuff back, and some of it
Oh,
fell, but Zilla, one moment, but you know, what do you do? So for something like that, it's like you are invading my space, or you get on the plane and you have, you see those pictures where people are putting their foot up onto the up onto your armrest, who the people who are sitting behind you, like, I want to fly with your foot, 4 hours wherever I'm going. Seriously? Or is someone who is a bit on the heavy side, and you're sitting on a plane, or you're sitting somewhere else, maybe you're out and about somewhere, and someone is a bit on the heavy side and they're, kind of spilling over onto you. Is that invading your space? What do you do? Welcome, welcome, Juju. So these are the things that I would like to know. Welcome, Captain Jimmy. So Ziller, welcome. You have the mic.
okay, welcome. Hey, Solid. Let me ask you a question. I've heard you. But here's the thing. That's normal life since the beginning. People are going to put those little things on the side of the conveyor belt in the grocery store. That's what they're trying to do. They're not trying to harass you. They're not trying to do that.
What are you talking about?
What? Hold on, Solid. Don't. If I didn't interrupt you, okay? And
Ziller. I'm asking you what you're talking about when you said the things on the side of the conveyor belt. I'm trying to get clarification. What are you talking
the
about?
little bars on the conveyor belt behind it, the dividers. Yes, Sam I am knows what I'm talking about. And let me ask you a question, Sod. Why would you are invading their space by pushing? That's just rude by pushing their stuff away.
Okay,
You're
Ziller,
going into their
apparently you did
space.
not hear what I said. What I
Oh,
said was, no,
I've
no, no,
heard
no,
it.
no. What I said was
No, no.
they were
Screw it.
putting their stuff on, and that's typical Ziller. To be clear,
Butt hurt.
let me be very clear. When I said I was putting my stuff on the conveyor belt, this woman behind me was literally putting her stuff on the conveyor belt where it was also moving forward. She wasn't putting her stuff on that little silver thing. I guess that's what you're talking about, that little silver thing where you can put your stuff there, and then when it's your turn, you put your stuff on the belt. I mean, she was literally putting her stuff on the conveyor belt while my stuff is moving. Her stuff is moving with mine. So yes, I pushed her stuff back. So that
Good.
I just want to be clear. So apparently Ziller did
Good.
not understand what I was saying. So as he said, I did not interrupt him. I had to be clear on what he was saying. So that is what I
Mm.
am being very clear on. Right, but
Yeah,
he
I
assumed.
totally agree with you on
But
that.
Sam,
What you did.
hold on, because I want to reply to what Sam said. I know what when he said the dividers, whatever, he assumed that that's where this woman put her stuff. I'm saying on the belt where my stuff is moving. So that is what I was talking about. So I should have been clearer so Ziller could have understood me, but that is what I was referring to. Jimmy, I welcome. Welcome.
Yeah, I feel you. I've felt that done to me numerous times, and I've turned around and I called those people out, and I even grabbed their shit and threw it back in their basket, and I told them to wait until I'm done putting my stuff up, and then I grabbed the divider and put it on and go, now you can put your shit back on. Don't be fucking doing that. That's rude. And I mean, I told them straight out, just like that. And they get all pissy at me. Go, and I go, no, 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 no. You're trying to justify something that you know damn well was wrong for you to do. You saw me putting my stuff up. I'm here first, and you're not even giving me a chance to finish putting my stuff up. You're rooting me putting your stuff on the conveyor belt, and it's getting mixed with my stuff. And you want to point the finger at me and saying I'm the bad person? It's like you're out your damn mind. And I got to the point, I got so pissed off with those people that I got to the point, or the situation got to the point where they call security and they're saying, well, sir, you need to just pay for your stuff. I go, no, 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 no. I was like, this is a teaching moment and a learning moment for this individual. You do not do that. You do not be rude and thrust your shit upon my shit and expect for me or another person not to get angry or rude or upset, you know? Because you know, I don't even know how old you are. I know you're older than me. And you know damn well what you did was wrong. I forgive you. I'm upset with you. Very upset with you that you decided to do that. I'm not mad at you. There's a difference. I'm letting you know what you did was wrong and don't do it again. Because the next person that you might do that to, they might not be as nice as me and give you a learning moment. They might just knock you the fuck out and just walk away or shoot you or stab you. And that's just the way society is in the United States. You know, you have your nice people like me, and then you got the other people who just straight up don't give a shit. I
And
mean, I'm sorry.
no, no, Jimmy, no, and you are right because can I ask when you said that to that person, what did they say? Did they just stand there and look whatever, or did they say anything back? Did they try to justify or say I'm sorry or anything?
What if they got real quiet. Two of them got real quiet and they apologized to me. The third one was just being ignorant and just kept telling me "f you, f you." And so you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to do that. And I just like, you know what? That's fine. You have your opinion. You think that I'm being the asshole, but you still don't realize. You still haven't learned what I told you. You don't comprehend what I told you. You don't go throw your stuff up there when another person is putting their stuff. Look at all the stuff I have in my basket compared to you. You only have like 10 things, if that. I have a full basket, and you haven't even let me put this stuff. You have the audacity to sit here and argue with me saying that you're right to put your crap on there when my stuff isn't even up there yet. That's all. Like, how dare you? How dare you sit there and argue with me on that? It's like anybody in their right mind would tell you what you did was wrong. And I have people, literally strangers I don't even know, they all came to my defense and were like, yes, sir, you are wrong. This young man is right. You know, what you did was wrong. You should have waited. It's like, I know you're probably in a hurry. We all know you're in a hurry. A lot of us are, but that still don't give you the right of way or give you the right to put your stuff up on there and you know, block him from putting his stuff. He's trying to buy his products, his merchandise, what he needs, same as you. But let's have respect and wait. And that person just was upset. I think they were more upset with themselves because they realized, you know, I spoke the truth to them, and they were more upset with themselves than they are with me. And they just they left quiet, and they were just stunned that someone spoke up against them, and not just one person, but multiple people.
Someone called them out.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to call people out. You know, I'm not afraid to give them a teaching moment because sometimes some people they do not know better, and sometimes it takes a random stranger to teach them something or to tell them something so they can understand that this thing, whatever they're doing, is offensive to some people or it's rude not to do that. You know, because not everybody's going to understand you why you're doing that. You know, it might look good and sound good in your head, but when you do it out in public, sometimes it comes out wrong or it looks wrong. You know, As you know, I'm gonna break it down to you like this. You know, as brothers and sisters in this world, we all have to teach each other sometimes certain things so we can learn and progress in this world and be better instead of have hatred and anger towards each other. Simple as that.
But Jimmy, that's what I was saying. So that's why I just wanted to be clear. It's not putting your food up on that little silver thing or whatever. It's like literally you're trying to take your things out of your basket. The conveyor belt's moving, and they're putting stuff up on there. So their stuff is getting mixed up with yours, whatever. And that is rude,
What's it?
and you need
Yeah.
that teaching moment, so that's why I
Right.
say, do you call people out, or do you just let it go? And that's why I have started, for the most part, when I go to the market, when I go to the checkout, I go first. I have my basket behind me, because people are not going to push your basket. They're just going to wait,
Mm-hmm.
and that way, to me, it prevents
Howdy,
any,
Mr. B. Great.
you just not gonna, that's just what it is. Welcome, Mr. B. So,
Yeah.
you know
Exactly. Like I don't know how it is in your grocery store, but in my grocery store by the conveyor belts, we have this big old shelf spot before you put your food on the conveyor belt. And I don't mind them putting their stuff there first while they're waiting for me to put my stuff,
right, right.
the rest of my stuff. I don't mind that. That's fine.
Hmm.
But when you're putting it on the conveyor belt while I'm putting my stuff, that's
Hmm.
a whole new ball
That's a
game, a
whole
whole
new,
new
yes,
story.
yes, and that's
Yeah.
exactly what I'm talking about. So,
Yeah.
and then, when you're on a plane, or you're on a bus, or if you're in a restaurant, once again, it's like you have people that will invade your space. So, Chill, I know you are up here. What would you like to say? So, welcome, welcome.
Well, first of all, so I got a question for you.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to play Zilla for a moment. I quit. I quit.
you know, I'm not gonna go into that, because I know what I'm gonna do the next time, and it's like, only thing I can say is,
Well, you was there around, Solid. You
well,
should have just let him. You should let him lay into you, because you supposed to use the little plastic dividers. You could just use that plastic divider and quit
oh
crying about
boy.
them people.
Well, you know what?
You can share. Learn how to share. Solid.
Okay, so
Well,
that means that while my food's moving and your food is moving too, then you can pay for everything. So that would
right.
be good. So, do you have anything else you want to talk about besides Zilla?
Oh gosh, don't do me like that. Hey everybody, how y'all
How's it going,
doing
my
out
brother
there?
Chill Will?
Big
Good to hear your
dog.
voice again.
Absolutely, man. I don't know. For me, I just don't take. This is probably my problem. Like I don't take shit seriously because I was just like I don't give- like if that happens, I'm thinking like there's obviously something wrong with this fucking person. Like there's obviously this person is off to some degree. Now that's what I start to think. Like if this person are they impatient, or they socially awkward, or they autistic, or they just plain on if it's maybe racist. I try not to come bring race into it. But maybe, what I'm saying? So those are things I'll start doing in my brain. And I'll just let it happen. I'll see how far it goes. And then in a situation like that, I typically let the cashier sort it out. I'll be like, that's not mine. That's not mine. That's not mine. Because I've had that happen to me. And I'm just like, damn, it's something. Or I'm like, that's not mine. That's not mine. And then they'll say something in frustration to the person putting the convey. Like that happened. I can definitively remember Whole Foods when that happened to me, and I'm like, yeah, that's not mine. Yeah, I don't know whose that is. I just like I don't even know whose that is. Who's that? That's not mine. So she got so pissed. She told the dude to stop. Please stop. Like what's wrong? And I don't know what's wrong. Like, for me, it's funny. Like shit like that's funny because it's like I, I don't know. I can't get. I don't know. I can't let people take my joy or control my day. Like I feel like it's intentional or it's unintentional for a some type of reason because that
Or
just makes
or
no
some
sense.
people are just rude.
I mean, but that's if they are being rude, that means there's something more likely wrong with them. You know what I'm saying? Like to be that like that to
Well,
be
that's what I was
that
saying.
yeah. So
Like,
it's something like off about them. So I'm not like I can't. How you get mad at
yeah.
somebody that's something wrong with them? I can't get mad at people with something
Well,
wrong
that's
with your ass.
yeah, right.
Okay, so
That's what I say. That's why I say. I like to teach them, or I like to tell them what they're doing is wrong, because they might not know what they're doing is wrong. They might have
They
been raised in
gotta
a
know though.
household.
Like, you gotta know they know. Like you gotta
this
know
is
they
and this
know.
is and this is and this is what I'm saying. So they have to know that they know, and they've done it before. So that's what I'm saying. Or it's just rude. Or moving on to like when
Mm.
get on a plane and you have that person that's sitting behind you who wants to put their foot up on the armrest, between you, whatever, and you have this foot, you know in your space, and they're in a completely different row. I mean, do those people not know? So, Mr. B, welcome. Thank you for waiting patiently. So, you want to add your 2, 3, 4, 5 cents?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want nobody's ice cream stuff touching my stuff. I mean, have the audacity to have space. I mean, if I want ice cream, I pick the ice cream. That's all I'm saying. Don't make my list longer. I might not have enough for ice cream. That's all I'm saying. Times are hard.
So, what do you think about the whole plane thing when you hear,
That's a good one, man.
people who invade people's space on planes, or that person who is leaning over on you, or they, just, and I'm not saying that it's by accident,
Um,
whatever, they accidentally they fall asleep, because that's happened to me. Someone has fallen
oh
asleep and
yeah.
whatever. But what do you do, when people are just blatantly invading your space, especially when you're in a small space? Welcome, Milk Dog,
Well, it
and
depends on
welcome,
what it
Power
is.
Girl. So, what do you do?
Depends. It depends on situation. Like I'm not single now, but if I was single and a pretty woman have to be, falling asleep and everything, she falls in my lap, whatever, cool. But if it's a big hairy dude, I'm saying, hey, bro, you got to scoot over, wake up, you
So,
know.
okay,
You still gotta
so
be careful with some females. She might try to pull the sexual assault allegation on you, bro.
true,
I'm
true.
just
But
saying.
right,
No,
that's
no,
true. But if
you are
she's
you're
asleep,
absolutely right, because that goes that you're
but
right.
that's why you have cameras, though. See, that's why you have cameras. I'm not saying touching. I'm saying,
True.
she falls
No, but
asleep,
if
whatever.
if you're on a plane, unless they start putting cameras in every aisle,
Yeah.
it's like, I mean,
But truth be told, though, I'd be more like, excuse me, can you scoot over? Because sometimes people don't really, they don't know. Some people don't. I'll let me put it this way. When I was in training for CNA plus dealing with children with behavior issues, what we had was there was two lines, all right, and we had to walk towards each other. We had to tell the person to stop walking, and to our comfort zone, right? Well, I kept on walking. I was waiting for this lady to tell me to stop, and she didn't stop. If I didn't stop, I would have, a nose would be touching. So some people, they don't care about personal space. Me, I need space for security purposes, just in case. So some people, they don't have that. They're just like, well, I don't want to be racist, or I love everybody. Some people, they don't care. They really don't care.
so what would you do then if you're, and I keep using the plane thing because it's a confined space. What do you do if someone heavy, and I don't know what anybody's sizes here are. I know what some of you, some of you, but not everyone. So I don't mean to insult
Yeah,
anyone.
yeah. This
But what do you do if you have someone who is large or slightly heavier, and you're on a
everything is.
plane and they are spilling over into your seat? Do you have a legitimate reason to either
It happened
want
to me
to
before on
move?
Greyhound.
So so what do you do? And should the
Oh,
people who are that size also be aware that you may be inconveniencing someone for 3 or 4 hours on this, in this confined space, in this tube, Mr.
I, I
B?
had I had to wake him up. It was embarrassing. I said, "Hey, excuse me, sir. You're." I said, "Sir." That's why I said, "Excuse me, sir. Sir, can you?" Luckily he was able to read the between the signs. I mean, I just said, sir. That's what I said, sir. I'm sorry, but he's like, oh, my bad. Yeah, yeah. His arm all over him and everything. Like, good Lord, listen, this is your space. This is mine. So I had to tell him, but he was so I ain't trying to be funny or nothing, but he almost took up 2 seats. So here I am, half butt cheek on the seat, and all right, listen, I'm already I'm already half off the seat already. As it is, you're not gonna take more. My goodness.
So, do you think that the airline should? Uh,
Nope. I already know you're gonna go there. Nope. They shouldn't have to pay him. They shouldn't have to pay for 2 seats. That's wrong.
no, 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 no.
Oh, okay.
No. That is not what I was going to ask. I was going to say,
Oh,
do you
okay.
think the
How's that
airline
wrong?
should? Wait, hold on, Jimmy. Do you think that the airline should accommodate you for being inconvenienced because they are spilling into your space, and you paid for that seat that you're not fully
Hmm.
sitting in?
Well,
Yeah,
it
that's a
depends.
big
I
if.
mean, if you're there, then why not? I mean, if they got space up the front, sure, why not? But then the question is like, well, that person can't be big, so why can't they go? Well, you know what I'm saying? So it go either way.
Okay, but if I pay for my seat just like you, I
Hmm.
expect to have my seat in my seat and not have you partially sitting with me in my seat. So
Yeah, yeah. Them seats are
so
small though. I ain't gonna lie, them seats are small.
Mm.
Oh, shoot.
Jimmy, you wanted to respond
Be right
to
back.
the paying for 2 seats?
Yeah, I honestly, I
Round
think they
like
should. I honestly think they should pay for two
they're
seats if they're
round like
that damn big, and they're sitting on top of people, and they know they're that damn big, and they know those seats are small. Then hell yeah, if they want to sit comfortably and not smashing people or suffocating people, they need to pay for the two seat. So that's the same concept. What you're saying though about if you're small, the person's on top of you, they're gonna compensate you, right? So your trip can be safe. That's the same concept as a person being heavily obese or very fat that they have to take 2 chairs. Of course, they have to pay for 2 chairs. Is it fair that somebody has to suffer because another person can't take care of themselves? And I'm talking about the people who are not sick or not taking medication that makes them fat. Like those people, I understand because, like I said, they have an illness or they're taking medication that makes them gain weight. I'm talking about the other people who damn well know they're just too damn lazy to go out and exercise and lose that fat, who can lose that weight. Those people just nah. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with you. Why you allow yourself to get that big in the first place? It's like, come on, have some decency. I mean, I don't mean to sound rude, but I'm just
No, I
saying,
mean, no, I mean, and I understand what you're saying. Sam says, knowing the obesity that we have in the United States and elsewhere, why don't airlines have the option for larger seats and they just cost a little more? That is a very good point. That is a very good point. Boss says, yeah, I agree with them. Paying for 2 seats is also an incentive for them to lose weight. T Gun says, I was just about to ask that. Why can't the airlines accommodate the planes with a section of larger seats? Because they probably will make more with people buying 2 seats as opposed to them just adding another $50 on to the 1 seat. Um, DMAX says, how are you going to measure that? And T Gun says, it's beyond the point of going buck for some people. You know, um,
you know what? I got another question for. I got a question for you,
yeah.
Solid Blue Sister. How do you feel like when you're standing in a line? How do you feel like when you get complete strangers all up on your butt and you're
I'm
standing in
sorry.
line?
Can you repeat that? How do I feel about what?
How like when you're standing in line to get into a concert or get onto like a theme park ride or just get into a place or to the movies, and people are all up on top of you, behind you. They're like all up on your butt and stuff. Why? I want to know, why do people think that that's okay to do to strangers, being all up on top of them instead of giving them their space?
Do you know what I literally say? And even though I have not stood in line at an amusement park ride for quite some time, when people do that to me, I turn around and I literally say personal space, and they're like, oh, and they back up because they're
Hmm.
not expecting you to say that. I don't say, hey, can you back up? I just say personal space, and they
You know what I
back
tell
up.
them though. I'm a little bit more blunt. You know what I tell them though, especially I mean like, especially if they, I know damn well they're doing it on purpose, and you could tell when people, people are not thinking, they just get up real close to you, and then some people who purposely do it because they want to shove you in where they open the doors. I as horrible as this sounds, I tell them this way to make them think about what they're doing. So like I had this guy behind me at the movie theater. I was paying for my tickets, and this dude was like all up on my butt. I turned around. I was like, "I'm sorry. Would you like to get in front of me? You're like really on top of me." He's "Yeah, sure, man. If you don't mind." I said, "Yes, I can put my dick up your ass and see how you like it." And he was like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, back off. You're too damn close, dude."
Oh my goodness.
And
What
he's
did
all
he
well,
say?
and he's all like, "Well, sir, you don't have to be that vulgar, and you have to say it like that." I go, "No, no, no." And so like, you're a complete stranger, and you're literally all up on my butt. You don't know me, and you're making me feel uncomfortable. Technically, I can practically say that's sexual assault, buddy, because you physically just touched me. You got on top of me, and I can say that's sexual assault. I don't know you, so for me to tell you that, I think it's perfectly fair. It's like, I mean, I'm sorry, but damn, like, what gives you the right to be on top of a stranger, a person you don't know, like that? I'm just saying.
No, I mean, but this is where I say, are this is where I come back to, are people just rude? Because I think these are people who who know what they're doing, and you do have to call them out in some way because they'll continue to do it. Um, Jill, I'm gonna
Hmm.
come to you in a moment, but I
But you
just
know what
want
the
to
problem is? You
wait,
know what
wait,
I
wait,
realized with the
hold on, Jimmy. Let me just read what Sam says, or else I'll get behind in the comments. Sam says, "I'll tell you what makes me mad more than that is standing in line and watching people cut all the way to the front to the lines, and the attendant does nothing." DMAC says, "Should you have to pay less if you have to stand up when you take the subway? No, you are part of the community who ride." Um, Captain Jimmy, do you need help? Some people are just aloof, like me. I'll leave that one alone. Ninja says people are more than rude nowadays than in the past, I feel. Juju says best thing to do is lay a fart. They won't back off. And everyone is agreeing with Juju. Okay, so Jimmy, what do you want to say? Because then I'm going to go to chill.
No, I was just saying, I think the reason why people line up so close to each other, because I remember in elementary when the teachers tell us to line up, they would literally squash us together. And I guess it's
That's true.
a learned behavior that we have in our heads unconsciously. When somebody tells us to line up to get in the door, that's what we all do. We all just get on top of each other, and it's like, what the fuck, dude? I,
I mean,
I
you
I
know
think
what,
that's the
and you
problem.
know what, and that could be me, but I am a germaphobe, so I'm like, when I give people space, I don't want to be up on you. I don't want you that close to me. I don't want to be that close to you. I give people their space. I mean, there are some people who I know who, when you're checking out at at the market or Target or wherever, and you're putting in your passcode or whatever, they're literally that close where they're looking down. They're literally looking down at the keypad. And if someone says something to them, they get upset. So that's too damn close. So, chill.
I'm still here. Were you calling me? I'm
No,
sorry. I
I
had to
was
step away.
saying chill, but chill, it takes him like five minutes to answer. So, Jimmy, if you want to comment, then you can until chill comes back. So,
Oh, what did you say? I'm sorry.
um,
I stepped away.
no, 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 no. It's just basically how people are just too damn close, basically. And DMAX
Yeah.
says
No, I
people line
think.
up close because they want to preserve their spot.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lou Rock says always a 3 foot rule, no matter what. That's a good idea, Lou. Okay, so chill. Are you back?
I
Yeah,
always go. I
I'm
always
back.
go with the army rule.
A lot of times though, like when you, I mean, it's the situation. Like it was a long line or something like that. Personal space is a very important thing to me, definitely. Especially the worst is when like people drunk and you. I don't drink, and so when you're at the bar, they feel a need that they need to whisper in your ear, but then they yell in your ear at the same time. I'm like, what the fuck is
Yeah,
going on? Like, I just had this the other day, and I'm a DJ, so I get this all the time. They want to come as close as possible, put their arm around you, then they want to go, and, motherfucker, you just put your lip on my ear, like you a grown ass man. I don't never want to experience that in my life. If you don't get your ass up off of me, and so I had to really, you got to set boundaries. And so what I learned is that you got to have ropes and stuff like that, and it's just ways when it's tight spaces you let people know, or you like when I stand somewhere in the line, I kind of put my arm out and I kind of like I'll mark I'll circle myself with my arm. Everybody watching me like, oh, this is my personal space. I'll hint like right here.
that's
I
nice
won't
of
say
you.
nothing. I just like hit like I'll do something awkward. It might be awkward, but at least they'll get like, all right. I guess he's trying to say, mother, like arm space. So I mean, I don't mind certain situations, but for the most part, I am definitely don't get in my personal space. I mean,
Okay,
Word.
just
now.
especially my face. Like when you face to face, I'm always scared about breath or bo. That's worse.
No, I
Especially if you
mean,
stink.
yeah,
If you
this is
stink
true.
and you know you stink, but how about this? When people with somebody that they know stink, and they come in line with you, you looking like, damn, who is that? And you start to smell yourself. You start to smell yourself like, damn, is that me? I forgot to put that. You run around and talk, and he like, this motherfucker like, damn, if he smell like that with them, and he over here with me with that stinking ass, I'm not them. I'm like, listen, and sometimes every once in a while I have to say something. Like I'm like, I know y'all smell that shit, and I just walk
That
away. I
steak
just
ass
walk away.
breath.
No, I mean, no, I mean, you bring up some very good points. When Lou says always the 3 foot rule, no matter what, um, T Gun responded because most people can't stab you from more than 3 feet away. I mean, 3 feet is your personal orb. Lou says I almost never drink either. Chill. Why are you all in my grill? Hot breath. Lou says, D Mac, no, that's the exception. Drink, die for a bit and resurrect and start drinking. Not sure what that means. So, I mean, personal space to me is a big
Man,
thing.
you
And
feel
I know a lot of it has to
Ah.
do with the whole germaphobe thing for me. But,
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, though, I want to give you your personal space. And let me ask this, and this is going out because I would like a male perspective because I do believe this is true. Why is it that men tend to get, and I'm saying tend to before anybody starts breaking down every word that I say, why is it that men tend to get their personal space over women and children? And what I mean by that is people will automatically, go in for the hug for like children. And sometimes it's like, I have heard children say, but I don't want to hug. It's like they're expected to hug. They're expected to do the hug and kiss. And they may not want to. Children have personal space too, or women. It's like there have been times where I've, put, even though I don't like shaking people's hands, but I have put my hand out and they're like, oh, give me a hug. And I've had to say personal space, and they're like, oh, or, but it seems like men can get that space where women and children don't. And welcome Crucible. And, for children, especially, and I notice this a lot when when I was raising my son, I was more aware of it when I would just look at kids at school and stuff. Children are not, their personal space is not respected. It's like go hug Aunt Martha, or go talk to, or go hug this person. Oh, go give so. I mean, why are we forcing them to do that? I mean, to me, that's not right. So
I mean,
What do you all
solid.
think?
I got a question. I, how do you say you don't like somebody without saying you like somebody? It's when they try to give you a hug and you say personal space.
Okay, but at the same time, it's like if it's someone that I don't know, like for instance, when I meet someone for the first time, and if not where I meet them like I'm just meeting you, but if I know you, but I have not met and I have not met you, I will say, when I see you, is it okay if I give you a hug? And if someone tells me no, I am good. I am good with that. But there are some people who and this is a phobia for some people. There are literally some people who don't like to be touched. So what do you do?
Well, I mean, it's hard for me to answer that because my culture, my people, we are very huggy and kissy.
Yes, and
So
my
like when
people are
we,
very huggy and kissy too.
so I mean, this dates back to like the very beginning with my culture. You know that was a sign of like respect and stuff. So when somebody tells me not to do that, I'm like, I respect you, but I just want you to know it's gonna be kind of awkward, for me, because that's just the way we are. And they're like, oh, okay. I mean, I was like, I don't
Okay,
do it to
but okay,
everybody,
but what do you
but
do? Is there a compromise in the middle?
sure,
So it's what you do, but it may not be what someone else likes. So is there
yeah,
a compromise somewhere
oh yeah,
in
I,
the
I, I
middle?
compromise with them. Yeah, yeah, I just
Okay,
shake their hand or give them a fist bump,
okay,
whatever.
Typically, you ask when people you're not familiar with, are you a hugger? Like
Yeah,
I'm a hugger. I'll say I'm a hugger. I mean, if you're not at school, or can I have a hug, or like you normally let people know. You just don't start hugging people you don't know. That's just awkward in general. But I mean, if it's like you, how you gonna tell grandma no? Like you know what I'm saying, if you're a chick, like you can't tell your grandma or like your family. Like, that's stuff that happened at the family reunion. This is family. You can't if you're a kid, you can't tell them no. I mean, you can, but I mean, that's
mm.
normally it's
Oh,
kind
you're
of
gonna have
awkward
problems
too.
there.
You just gotta let that go. You gotta let that go.
but again, Will, if you are someone who, okay, for instance, I'll give her a better example. Sam says I'm offended. Lou, you, he's asking me, you aren't a hugger either. Lou Rock, it depends on who the person is. Okay, so what about this? You have people who can't drink. When I say can't drink, I'm talking about they're an alcoholic or they just don't like to drink. And you have people say, "Oh, come
Oh,
on, come on, come on, drink this. Oh, you don't drink this. Oh, come on, come on, come on." And without wanting to come out and say, "Well, I'm an alcoholic," whatever, you have people that just push you. So if you have people who really truly don't like being touched or hugged or whatever, do they have to get over it? Or can I mean, what if I were to say, or that person were to say, I don't like being touched, I don't like being hugged, then that comes across as being rude or stuck up or something. But if it's how I feel and I'm going to feel uncomfortable the entire time I'm there because everybody's hugging me, and then I want to leave and I'm not having a good time, and and I may get get stressed out. What do you do? Because you do have people who are like that. What do? You just tell them get over it? Hello?
that's a good question.
I'm just saying. I mean, and not just with that, but with everyone. I mean, there are people who, when you get on a plane, they purposely buy two seats just so someone doesn't sit next to them. Because they want their space. So
Right.
to how are you going to tell someone to get over it?
God.
That's
Uh,
not allowed to do in some places
yeah, you get beat for that.
When,
because you
when,
got
when,
to have
when,
an ID for the second seat. So some people you can't do it anymore because they want their monies. And plus,
wait. I don't understand. So if you were like on Southwest and you bought less, and Southwest is like the three seats. So you're saying that if you were to buy all three seats, that they're not letting you buy three seats if you've paid full price for these seats?
correct, because they're saying that you're stopping someone else from traveling.
But you've
Right.
already paid for the seat, and
Uh,
they've gotten their money.
I hear what you're saying, but
Oh,
listen
okay.
to
I
other
mean, no, I
part.
mean,
Other part is
I didn't know that. I
stopping
mean,
someone else from
okay,
traveling. I get what you're
okay,
saying, but
okay,
it stops people from traveling. Like, say, a family member needs to go to another place, because of wedding or whatever. Oh, you can't go because this person bought two seats, but no one's using it.
okay, okay, okay. So, anybody want to? I mean, can you all tell me what you're supposed to do if you're around people who don't like being touched, or don't have that comfort level?
Uh, I work with the public a lot, so I see people who just love hugging people all the time. They just bring it in. So sometimes you don't have no time to say, "Hey, hey, whoa, whoa," bam, hug in. So I always try to be. I look how long the arms are, and I try to stay from there if I don't want to be hugged. So
Okay,
I move a certain way. I try to keep my space because I
okay.
don't know, the person might be a hugger. Now I'm not really a hugger. I shake your hand and everything, but bring it in. That's too close. Your arm might be hot or something. I don't know.
See, B, I don't even like shaking hands, and I have, I mean, and I've been like that for a long, long time. And to prevent me from, from making anybody feel uncomfortable, I usually say, "Oh, I have a cold." As soon as you say you have a cold, then nobody wants to be around you or touch you anyway. So that always works.
I get close like like a middle school Valentine dance. I keep my distance.
hmm You know, And Sam says, I'm rarely in a situation where I don't know the people around me, therefore, they all know what type of tendencies I have. Um, Juju says, went to 85th family reunion on Sunday. Everyone was hugging each other because they announced it will be the last family reunion. Oh, 85th, wow. Sam says, then they should offer to buy the seats from you instead of just taking the seat back from your property. You know what, Sam? Mr. B, I'm a, okay, hold on. Let me finish reading these comments. D-Max says, nowadays you can blame COVID. Just say, give me my space. True. True. Um, let's see. Boss says the wife is germaphobe too and gets sick all the time, whereas I don't because I'm constantly keeping my immune system active. Okay, so, um, and he's back. All right. So, Mr. B, what do you say about what Sam says? And they should offer to buy the seats from you instead of just taking the seat, back. I mean, it's your property. So, why don't they offer to buy the seat?
I don't know how it goes. So
I mean, no, I'm asking. I'm just throwing it out there because Sam
yeah,
said it, and you brought it up.
yeah,
So I'm just
I get it. I mean, yeah, I guess in the perfect world that you should be able to get your money back, but your property, that one's considered your property because you don't owe the airplane. So and there's statements stating like you can't do this for this that whatever reason. So yeah, I mean if you spend two extra seats and they find out and they're like, no, sorry, sir, we need these two seats back. I think they're sure to refund your money, but that might take a while, like a month, 30 days before you get your money back. They work slow.
okay. So I want to go to the restaurant now. I want to talk about your personal space in a restaurant, and I'm bringing this up because last week, Chill and Saucy and I, we were going back and forth, and I swear, Chill, still when I listen to that episode because I re-listened to it several times, it just cracks me up. What do you do? Do you consider your personal space being invaded if there is a child running around the restaurant while you're trying to eat? Do you consider that your space is being invaded, or a child is loud, whether or not they're in a family restaurant or not? Even if it's a family restaurant, do you think that your space is being invaded? Jimmy? Did you want to say something?
You said Jimmy.
Right. And well, no, Jimmy, oh, is he on the panel?
No.
Okay. I'm seeing things that you all are not seeing. So,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
So, okay, chill or B, do you want to answer that?
I'll go real quick. I know you said it doesn't matter, it's a family thing, and I think it depends. I mean, if I go to Chuck E. Cheese, you expect to hear some kids screaming and everything, or McDonald's or whatever. But if I took my wife and I to this nice restaurant, right? And some children were there and they were screaming and crying and everything. I'm like, this is inappropriate. I'm paying $45 a person for this, and so I think it does content. I think it does matter where you're at.
But does it okay, but okay, so you're putting a price tag on it, but does it really matter? I mean, even if I'm at McDonald's, and I'm not saying that they're not in that little playland thing, or they could be loud sitting at their table, whatever. But when they start running around, and if they're
Hmm.
getting too close, or they're bumping into you, or whatever, or they're just, it's like they constant, it's like if someone is constantly running around and you're trying to
Oh, yeah.
enjoy your meal, I don't care if I did just spend $1 on a Happy Meal. I'm sitting there trying to eat my fries and
Hold
my
on
and my
one
burger.
second. One second.
So
We're not gonna act like you didn't say having milk cost $1.
I have not been in Mickey D's in so
Goodness
long. I don't
gracious.
even know how much that stuff costs. I don't eat fast food, and or I tend not to eat it. But McDonald's, I haven't had McDonald's in years. So
Right, right.
so but either way, I mean, does it really matter if you spend 40 or four?
Well, quality, but but yeah, I mean,
Hell yeah, it matter. Because if I'm at Chick-fil-A, I expect kids to be at Chick-fil-A. But if I'm at the movies, or if I'm at if I'm at certain places that I'm spending some bread at, I don't need no hell no. My experience is important too. Why the hell
Right,
you
right.
bringing these
So,
badass
but
kids?
okay, but
You ain't
again,
run these motherfuckers
chill.
around
Whether
my table.
Okay, so if they're running around, even if
chill,
they're at
chill.
this family restaurant, you're at this family restaurant and these kids are running around, shouldn't I still expect some level of enjoyment of my meal?
When a kid is either just they didn't let their kids run around, but nah, I can't do it, and that's the one. That's the reason I had a problem with it. Like it was like, but I was chilling out. I mean, it wasn't super bad, but it gets sometimes it gets bad when it's like, come on, man. Like how kids like to play games and they don't like to stop. They keep going, and you might do something with them just to try to kind of cut the tension or awkwardness. But then they want to keep playing, or they just out. I'm like, you not gonna get your kid or your child, or you just keep on letting them cry. You know what I mean? Or like if I'm at a graduation or something. But I try to understand certain things, like because my biggest my closest encounter was at a graduation where and I really blame the people who did the graduation because you got these little kids that's they 4 or 5 years old and you doing an hour graduation. That shit is ridiculous. Like, how you can expect these people? They want to see their kids walk, but they don't want to be sitting here for no hour and a half.
Man, you lucky
But
it's
You
an
know what I'm saying?
hour.
okay,
Ours
okay,
are
but
two
okay, but
hours.
chill. Okay, D-Mac says your quiet enjoyment is being invaded, and then he says it goes back to your baby's kid show. There's a line that shouldn't cross,
Yeah,
and that's what I'm
yeah.
saying. It's like, again, it's your
But if it's Chick Fil
space.
A though, if it's Chuck
But
E.
if
Cheese,
it's
Chick
Chick
Fil
Fil
A,
A, I mean, okay, again, I
McDonald's, like
understand
I
that kids get
yeah
loud and everything, but
Burger
again,
King.
I am
yeah
still
I ain't tripping.
spending money. I am still sitting there trying to have my hamburger. Do your kids? I mean, do your kids have to keep running around by me? I mean, I'm still trying to eat. It doesn't matter how much money I am spending. I still went to go and still sit down, have lunch or dinner, whatever I'm eating. Whatever. I would like to have some semblance of something without your kids running around. So again,
You want
that's
some
invading.
edits?
That's invading
Sound too
my
mean. You so
space.
mean.
She
You
want she went
mean. Goodness,
Oh
you
edits.
so
no,
mean.
no, I'm not being mean. I was
Now, I tell you
I've
this
been
though,
accused of
if
being too
if I'm
emotional.
eating my food
So
right, if
I
I'm eating
can't be
my
too
food
mean.
and a child comes and
No.
slaps me with their burger, now that's a line. That's gone too far.
But even if they don't slap you physically, hit you with something, I'm just asking once again. You're trying to eat your meal, have some semblance of just, can I just sit here and eat my meal without your children running around? And at what point do you tell your children, hey, calm down, keep it down. Other people are trying to eat or something. Seriously?
Well, let me put it this way. Why would a person go to a very cheesy, raggedy down organization and expect peace and quiet? That's why I have a question. Like, all these this restaurant tends to have a lot of children here, but I expect it to be perfectly quiet.
I'm not. No,
Silence,
no.
isn't it?
I'm not saying that. I'm
Silence.
not
And
saying that
that's
I
kind of my
expected.
point is that you gotta expect
I'm
pay
not
per the amount you
expecting it to
paying,
be
you gotta
perfectly
expect that.
quiet. I'm asking you
Uh,
if your children. I am
eh,
specifically. I'm not saying that they're loud or anything. I'm specifically asking one thing: if your
well,
children are running around, that is
well,
my
I'll tell you what I do
question.
though. My children. All right. My I adopted some children. Okay, so before this with me, they used to do certain behaviors that I didn't like. They're not bad kids, but they just have some behaviors that I'm like, no, that's not okay. Like we go to the store, they used to run around, touch everything, not really scream, but just touch everything. Can I have this? Can I, whatever. But now when we go to a restaurant, I say, hey, you sit down, you can talk, but don't scream. You can ask, can I go play at the games now? Yeah, but yeah, I don't let them run around like an idiot. They're still kids, but yeah. But that's my morals. Some people don't do that. I'm not saying nobody does that, but some people don't raise their kids like that. They're just like, oh, this being kids. Just let them run around and talk to anybody, everybody, then wonder, oh, where my kid at? You let them do whatever they want to do. What do you think is going to happen? So yeah, it's expectations, but to think that everybody's doing that, that's no, no, no. Go
Okay.
outside in the streets. You see a little kid not wearing no shirt and is wearing what do you call it, diapers, walking around. You see no adults around. So
But it's
yeah,
a
that's
different
that's
philosophy though. Like it's a different philosophy to how some people raise their kids. They like to let them explore, let them do things, as long as they ain't harming people. And for me, I am, if unless it depends, it's a fine line. Because I am when I go into public spaces, it's a shared space. So if something's going on that I necessarily don't like, I don't necessarily be like, nah, because that's kind of selfish. Like it's a public space. There's gonna be some things you may not like when you go out there. You gotta expect that because we're sharing, and it takes a village, especially with kids. So I don't never get too bent out of shape. But if it's a point to where like my thing is the crying. You see somebody crying in this like a maybe like a kind of it's a movie or it's just something like that. That's where I kind of you gotta take the child out or something like that. But if the child just running around, I don't care nothing about that. The only thing that like doing nothing to me or doing nothing ridiculous, I don't care. I mean, I like kids, so but it can cross the line. But that normally don't happen. It's just people get irritated because their people's kids run around. Like, what
I
is
have to.
shit?
I have to disagree with that. DMAX says it could be anywhere in public, not just restaurants. Yeah, and he also says, yeah, you teach them manners. Welcome, Jill, and welcome, Lyle. But I mean, again, I'm talking about invading personal space. So,
Don't happen though. That don't
but
happen. We talking about an exception. Like that's not nobody's gonna let their kids just hop in your lap
okay,
and
all
just
right,
eat at
okay,
your
okay,
table. Like that's not happening. We
okay.
gotta be realistic.
Well, actually, I am being realistic because I have seen some things where I'm like, seriously. Let me ask this. I have to go back to a plane because you're in a confined space. I understand children get on a plane and they get bored, whatever, and they cry. I have seen people just let their kids run up and down the aisle while they're on their phone, whatever, and don't say anything. And people are like, hello, hello. I have seen people with kids where they're sitting next to someone and you can see that this person is like irritated, and the kid does literally climb into the other person's lap. I have seen that. When you're and again, you're in a confined space. I have seen kids literally at a restaurant where they think that they're part of another family and start sitting with the other family, and people are like, can you come get your kid? So they are invading your space. So Crucible, welcome.
Hello, everybody. I just wanted to make a quick.
Sean, you are back up, and dude left. All right, go ahead, Crucible.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a quick comment. I agree with most of what everybody is saying, but I think we have to have, in a civilized society, there are certain places where certain types of behavior are acceptable and certain places where it's not. And I think as a society, we have to have some expectation about what we're going to, what we can expect to see and observe and experience depending on the venue or the place that we're going to. In other words, if we go to a nice restaurant with candlelight and very expensive prices, we're expecting a certain experience. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's what's called being in a civilized society. There's a thing called decorum. If we're going to a library, we expect a certain atmosphere, right? We're trying to study, we're trying to read. We should expect to have some silence, some sense of decorum. We're going to a school, we're going to a church. All these venues provoke and stimulate a certain expectation about a certain experience. And when those boundaries are crossed, I think people are justified in becoming upset. We can't just, not everything's a frat party, not everything's a library. And so, not just for adults and for everybody, kids and adults, know your surroundings, know your place. There are certain things that are acceptable under certain conditions. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with Mr. B saying, I took my wife out to a place, $45 a person. That's not cheap. I don't think there's anything wrong with expecting a certain experience. And if you've got around, shame on the parents, first of all, and shame on the management. Because again, we go into certain social situations with certain expectations of a certain decorum. And when it doesn't get met, I think we're justified in being pissed off about that.
But Crucible, okay, so you say shame on the management, but is it the management's responsibility to first, and I'm just going to say first and foremost, to manage your children, or even manage, maybe it's not even a child, maybe it's another patron, whether you're in the restaurant or wherever, that is getting drunk, or they're just if they start something with somebody else, and then it ruins it for everyone else, because now they have to listen to that. Is it the management's responsibility to manage your behavior or manage your children and make sure that everyone's personal space is not invaded?
Yes, it absolutely is. The responsibility of the management. Otherwise, why are they there? It's like having a coach. If they're not going to instruct and discipline, why have a coach? So wait, let me finish. Management responsibility is a quality customer experience, period. If that means talking to a parent about his child, that's what that means. If that means talking to a drunk customer, that's what that means. The responsibility of the management is somebody is in charge, keeping order and making sure everybody who's a paying customer has a quality experience. Whatever that involves, that's what that involves.
Okay, so we're at McDonald's, and this kid or these kids or whomever are consistently running around. I'm not saying that, they could be loud or whatever. I'm saying that they're constantly running around, and you can tell that they're irritating other people who are sitting there. Know that McDonald's meal may have cost $5 compared to your $40 or $100 a plate, whatever. Does the management step in then? Or is it that, well, I came here and you should have known that it was McDonald's, so just go sit and eat your food and shut up?
Probably the former. Like I said, we have
Okay.
expectations based on where we're going, what we expect the atmosphere to be. Now, would I like it if I'm sitting in McDonald's and there's a bunch of kids running around me? There's a damn playground attached to the McDonald's, for God's sake. So, I mean, if I'm going to get upset about going to McDonald's and seeing a bunch of kids running around, then I have a problem. So, just as if I went to a very expensive restaurant and parents brought noisy kids there and I got upset, they shouldn't expect me. They would, they would have the problem. So inappropriate is inappropriate. And if I show up at McDonald's expecting a serene experience where I'm going to read my book and listen to a lecture on, and I get a mad playground scene, well, that's on me.
Okay. All right. So let me ask this because hold on, let me read some of these comments first. Sam says, I saw a sign in restaurants once that read, noisy children will be sold. Boz says, no, but it's the management's best interest to say something, but it's the parents' responsibility. And yes, that is, it's in their best interest, but is it their responsibility? No, I don't think it is, not 100%. Boz says, yes, because for some McDonald's meals is the best they can afford. They shouldn't be a reason for management to care less about the experience. And I'm actually agreeing with Bob. Mr. B, Bob has a point. It could be that's all they can afford. Can't they expect to sit and eat a meal without someone's children or without, and again, I don't want to just say children, without even if it was an adult getting loud, whatever. Tyrone says the audio speeded up. Okay. Not sure what that means. Okay. So Crucible, let me ask this. Well, actually, I'm gonna go to Mr. B first. So, Mr. B, what about what Bob just said? That if it's all someone can't afford. Mr. B, you still there? Okay. So, Crucible, I'm going to ask you a different question because I don't think you heard this question. So before you came in, we were talking about people who were overweight sitting on a plane, and when Jimmy was here, he said that he thought that people should have to buy two seats, whatever. What do you think about that? Do you think people should have to buy two seats? Do you think that the airline should tell the person who is invading the other person's space that they should have to move or move the other person to a better seat? I mean, what do you think?
Wow, that's a tough one, boy. I've thought about that a lot. I've flown plenty of times in my life, as I know a lot of people have. And you get on the plane and you see a very large person sitting, you're walking down the aisle and you're looking for your seat, and, it's maybe 10 rows away, and you see this very large person sitting there, and you just start going, oh my God, please don't let that be my seat. Please don't let that be my row. So, and especially, and I don't want to issue a bunch of qualifiers here, but particularly if you're going to be on an overseas flight or a cross-country flight where it's not just a puddle jumper to, an hour away or something, we're talking about a significant amount of time.
But even if it was just an hour, I paid for that seat.
Right. What I was about to say was, I mean, you got to get it, and I don't want to get into a whole dicey discrimination thing, but airlines are very fearful of causing a discrimination situation by saying to an overweight passenger, you're going to have to buy another seat, or you're going to have to wait for the next flight. That's a very slippery slope. But to answer your question, yes, I think, again, it goes back to the total experience for everybody. This isn't just about kids. This isn't just about parents. This isn't just about overweight people. It isn't just about a noisy restaurant. It's about the overall experience. People are paying good money to eat, to fly, to go to wherever they're going. They should expect a reasonable level of comfort. And I think if customers and passengers, they're not going to be the ones to say, you know what, you're right, I'm 100 pounds overweight, I'm going to get off this plane and go buy another ticket so everybody's more comfortable. That conversation will never happen. So again, why do you have flight attendants? Why do you have managers? Why do you have anybody in charge if they're not going to step into these situations and say, I'm sorry, sir, this is nothing personal against you, but we are responsible for the comfort and safety of the entire plane, not just your row, not just you. So I'm sorry, but these are the rules, and enforce them. And I think it's fair to everybody. It's unfortunate that one person out of a total of 100 and some passengers would dictate how that flight was run.
Okay, but to play both sides here, nowadays, and it's been happening, especially since COVID, you have people who are starting to strike and in some cases beat up, the very people that you want to step into a situation. So let me ask this again. I'm all for giving everybody their space. Okay, if I can sit in front of the plane, or even if I was all the way in the last row and you were all the way in the front, I am good. I want to give everybody their space. But don't you think that when you walk out of the house or you buy that airline ticket, and you know that if you're not sitting in first class, where the seats are generally bigger, or should I say wider, and you're sitting in economy, where the seats are smaller, usually three across, when you're buying your ticket, that if you're overweight, and when I say overweight, I'm talking about the people who are literally um, spilling over into someone else's seat, shouldn't you be, at least be aware of how that person who's going to end up sitting next to you, how their trip is going to be? I mean, people have said that they've sat next to some overweight people and they've gotten off the plane and the whole side of their shirt or something is like totally soaked because they were like rubbing up against this person. And I'm not making fun of people. I'm just saying, is there, and should the person who is buying the ticket or going to the restaurant or whatever be aware of the other person who's going to be there sitting next to you? Crucible.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that has just gotten kind of lost in the shuffle, in terms of expecting people to. And I'm not making fun of overweight people either. I've sat next to them on flights. I have a lot of sympathy and empathy for them because I think they have difficult lives and they're used to being looked at in a different way. And so I don't want to certainly pile on at any, but we as people, as citizens, no matter where we're going, we have a responsibility. Again, I go back to my civilized society comment. We have an obligation, and I'm not just saying an expectation, we have an obligation to understand our surroundings and have respect for the other people around us. And if the overweight person, and I'm not saying this is the case, but I've come across some overweight people and had a confrontation about one thing or another, and they can be, and I'm generalizing, I don't mean to stereotype, because of what they've faced throughout their lives, a lot of discrimination, a lot of rude comments, they can be a little bit defensive about things. So I understand that they have a difficult life that they have to lead, but we have to respect everybody, and they're not respecting me or the other passengers by coming on. And I'm not talking about somebody who's 20 or 30 pounds overweight. I'm talking about an extremely obese person.
Yes, that is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, who may have difficulty even getting down the aisle. Now, they're not being rude because they happen to weigh 300 pounds. How they got there is immaterial. But at what point do we put it on them to say, now you're inconveniencing a swath of people here because of your weight? It may not be your fault, but it isn't about fault. It's about reality and the practical situation of what we're in right now. So the tail can't be wagging the dog. We can't be so fearful of stepping on toes and offending people to the point where we're now jeopardizing or upsetting 98% of the plane for one person. So we have to be aware of our surroundings, and I put it back on the obese person. Nobody's picking on you. We all have to fly this plane. So at what point do you take responsibility and stop putting it on the rest of us?
Okay. Bob says it's also in the airline's best interest to have a few rows of seats that are built for larger people. Bob, before you came on, Sam said the same thing. Um, Uh, and then Crucible says, "Good point, Bob. Every flight is over, so these days." Agreed. You know, it would be great if um, it would be great if airlines or wherever um, made seats for overly large people where they have to pay extra um, to sit in this seat that is big enough for them, because it is an inconvenience. Because if you have two people sitting next to each other who where one person is not happy, if they start to get upset during that flight and you're already in the air, it's going to be miserable for everybody. Whether you're sitting in economy, whether you're sitting in coach, it's or first class, it's going to be miserable for everybody, because everybody's going to have to hear and listen to it. So that's what, again, when I say, at what point is it, here's my phrase again, individual responsibility to make it where you're not inconveniencing someone else. So I just want to round this up and ask, Chill, are you still here? He has muted him. Okay, he is still here. So Chill, you want to pop in and add anything? Okay, so I'm going to keep going. So my last question then is, and we talked about this briefly, and Jimmy made some really good points when he was here. Do you let it go or call them out? And I know we touched on it a little bit, but okay. Boss says a lot of these issues, there's an ideal world answer and a second best answer. Okay, and Chill said 1 sec. Okay, so I mean, until Chill comes back. So I mean, Crucible, do you call them out or do you just let it
I
go?
I it depends. I hate to be a weenie about this, but it does kind of depend on the situation. But my personality is generally not confrontational, much to my detriment at times. I have kept my mouth shut at times where I know I should have opened it, and it's just part of my personality. But I don't think there's anything. I have no problem with people calling somebody out. There's a way to do it, and there's a way not to do it. A lot of people don't care when they're on the receiving end of criticism. They don't hear the tone. They don't necessarily even hear the words. They hear somebody in their mind attacking them. So they may push back instinctively because that's part of their personality, or they don't really care that much. But I mean, I think when yeah, I don't have any problem with people calling people out. It could get ugly. It could get nasty. People don't like to be called out, but otherwise, you're just encouraging that behavior. I think if it's done politely and it's done in a gentle way, you take your chances. If the person reacts in a hostile way, the person reacts, in a negative way, at least you tried, and then it's up to you at that point. Do I want to let it go, or do I want to keep fighting? If I'm on a transatlantic flight, I'm fighting with my seatmate, I might want to let that go, or I might want to call the flight attendant. It just depends. But until you start calling people out, and sometimes calling them out publicly, you're never going to change behavior. That's just, I don't, and it's like when you have a child and the child never gets disciplined. Do you expect the child one day to suddenly go, you know what, I got to clean up my act here, I got to get it together? No, it's not going to happen. Without outside feedback, people are not inclined to change their habits.
And I also agree that you should call people out. And Juju says the two seats after first class are extra big with extra room for people who have long legs. Okay, Juju, you're talking about the bulkhead. Those seats are not extra big. They just have extra room uh, for, like you said, with people with long legs or people who want more space. But those bulkhead seats, are not that big. Um, hold on, she just responded to me. Okay, you're saying no, not the bulkhead. Oh, okay, I stand corrected.
She's talking about those two front seats, the first two front seats that the first 2 or 3 rows, like in a lot of planes, they're bigger and more comfortable.
Okay, so you're
Like the
okay. So
first,
you
very first ones right before first class. Like even if they don't have a first class, especially if they don't have
so you're
first
talking
class,
about
those
like
first 2 3 rows.
so you're talking about like business class or whatever. But you know what? But then again, it's like if you okay. So what if I'm an overly large person and usually those seats if you're going to business class or economy plus I've heard some planes call them and maybe they're extra $100. What if I can't afford it but I need to get from point A to point B and I'm an overly large person, not just a couple of pounds overweight but I'm overweight and I can't afford it? Am I not supposed to fly?
And that's what I was going to. You can't take my shine, Charlie Blue. You already know, but you taking my shine. I want. No, that's what I want to know. When does it become the airline's responsibility to accommodate for situations
But they're going to
and
charge
be
you.
prepared?
They're going to charge you though. If they
Well,
accommodate a
right.
large
So that's
person,
a
they're going to
discrim.
charge you.
Right. So it's the so technically what can be considered discriminations.
Well,
Technically,
no,
where I can
no,
sue your
because
ass.
no,
Yeah, of
but
course, of course, of course, of course.
if you have, they're not coming out and saying extra large people need to say this, but if they're giving that, okay, we have you know, economy plus or first class, whatever, they're not coming out and
Right.
saying, well, you need to buy the seat, but it's like there's that gentle that gentle push, whatever. But if you're not being pushed that way because you can't afford it, what do you do?
That's the exact example or definition of disparate treatment.
Well,
So therefore, they make a policy or have policy that affects one particular group disparately. So technically, I guarantee you, a person would, or they probably have been through plenty of suits like that because they need to be able to accommodate for without. You can't charge me because I'm a big guy. You know what I'm saying? Like you, so this is I'm a person still. So I understand you maybe, but I still, if a person, I wouldn't. That's something that a court could probably see on a normal basis if I had to if I say you know what you got to go and change your seat and they accommodate you, yeah, but if I got to pay more, now
well, okay,
that
but
gets
Jill,
sticky.
okay, so let me ask this. Do you think that most overly large people, when they get on a plane, and do you think they're even aware of the fact that the person that they're sitting next to is kind of scrunched up and they don't have any room? Do you think that they
Yeah,
care or
yeah,
they,
yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah,
seriously.
they aware, they care because they're more uncomfortable than you. Like you think you scrunched up, look
So,
at they big ass in
okay,
that little seat.
so again, what do you do? Because if I'm sitting next to this large person and I want the armrest down, they want it up, of course, for more room for them to. And I'm not trying to be funny to spread out, but they're coming. But I need that armrest down just to keep you a little bit away from me and give me my space. What do you do?
Man, listen, if you're on a plane trying to keep your space, you're in the wrong place. That's ridiculous to even think. It's just ridiculous. Like it's there. Some of these planes are so small. You can't avoid unless you fucking 103 pounds a piece. Some you gonna touch. You know what I'm saying? So I understand there's a level of touching, but you can't get on. You can what you do typically if it's that bad, you contact a flight attendant and see if they can make arrangements. And most of the time they can, right? Like if I got a little ass seat, because I'm kind of a big dude. I mean, I'm not overly obese and nothing like that, but so
But
I
if the flight
if I sit down
is
uncomfortable,
sold out, but if the flight's sold out, then how are they going to accommodate me? What if I'm like you
right,
said,
right. I'm just
I'm
saying
going to that wedding?
in those situations, I mean, you're gonna have to end up being comfortable. Or a lot of times they rearrange seats. Hey, is a seat back here where there's a couple kids. You can sit with them. You know what I'm saying? And typically they do. I've been on several occasions where this actually has
Mm-hmm.
happened.
Mm-hmm.
And typically they find an answer. And
Mm-hmm.
if not, then you just got to live with it. And a lot of times it's not that bad. And if it comes to the point where I get off the plane, That's fine, but typically they accommodate you for that as well. But I don't think you should penalize a person for. We don't penalize, kids. I mean, it's other things than being just big that can irritate the shit out of me on a plane, like for real. And I'm stuck with your ass on there. So you know, I don't know, but that's always a messed up situation, and it's always you never want to sit by that person. Like if it's me and some like a real big like if that's happening, and I'm sitting by me. It ain't happening. We gonna figure some shit out, but it ain't happening. We gonna have to move. You understand me? We can't be in this. This ain't happening because that's happened to me on more than one occasion. Like, hey, bro, I love you to death, bro. I can't. We listen. We ain't fit for this role. We gonna have to switch up. And most likely, it's a way to fix it. Most likely, but if not, I don't mind. As long as it ain't a long flight. But if it's a long ass flight, that's the only time I really can't do it. Like I can't. We got to figure something out. I don't even care if I just sit in the back with the flight attendants. Shit, put me on the floor. Goddamn, I'm not about to sit by this. I don't mind being inconvenienced. No,
Oh, good
well, not that's
Lord.
not even. It's just better than what it was. Just give me a situation better than what it is right now.
All right. Okay. Crucible, you want to add into any of that?
I never thought of that. I want to be on the floor too. And next time I'm sitting next to an
And you know
obese
how
person,
dirty those floors are. Ugh. So,
that was a good that was a good call, Will. No, I mean, to answer your question, do you think when you get on a plane or you think you're in a excuse me, a confined space or a social situation where there's a obese or more than one obese person present, I kind of read, and I'm not trying to be funny here, the body language. You sit down next to somebody and you can tell, kind of, you can't be sure, but you can kind of tell from their demeanor if they're making eye contact with you, if they're apologizing, if they're saying, I'm sorry, or, excuse me, or they're very, very conscious, because overweight people, particularly, ones in their 40s and 50s, they've been facing this for a long time. They're used to the scrutiny, they're used to the looks, they're used to the attitude. Some of them are very, very self-conscious, and they're trying to accommodate you because they know they're imposing on you. Others, you can kind of get the sense that they're either indifferent, they don't give a crap if you're uncomfortable. That's too bad. Don't be discriminating against and hating on obese people. It really just depends. But I go with what Chill Will said. At some point, the airlines have got to step in here, because you can't leave these kinds of things up to passengers, because it's never going to end well. As I said for like the fourth time, I apologize for repeating myself. We have an expectation when we go to a restaurant, we get on an airplane, we go any place in a public venue. We have an expectation that there are going to be people in charge, and those people in charge have got to be responsible for everybody's well-being. And that's where you put it on them, because if left to our own devices as individual passengers, I'm always going to be right and you're always going to be wrong, and vice versa. So I try to take it, one instance at a time. The last thing I want to do is make an overweight or obese person feel even worse. So if they seem to be aware and they seem to be trying their best under those very difficult circumstances to be aware of my comfort level, I'm inclined to cut them some slack. I'm not going to make things worse for them. Now, on the other hand, if they're not that nice, my attitude's going to change, but they don't want to be obese. And I think it's up to the airlines to step in and say, okay, we're going to make the decision here.
so do you think that airlines are okay? You know what? I'm going to change it up. Let's go to your job. Okay. Um, your job has someone working for them who is obese, not just heavy, they're obese. And they're starting to invade your space in some way. Say you're in the conference room. All of you all are having a meeting, and this person is sitting next to you or whatever, and they're invading your space. Do you say something to HR? And if HR gets involved, does it turn into a whole, well, you can't tell me this because I'm going to sue you. I'm talking about the obese person now says, I'm going to sue you. Does a job have the responsibility to make sure that when, this person is sitting in a chair that is accommodating for them, that they have to do everything to accommodate this person's weight? Is that up to the employer to do that? If this person goes into the restroom and if they're not able to go into the handicap stall, they have to go into a regular stall, and it's too small. Is it up to the building to have to now go in and change all of their stalls to accommodate a heavy person? I mean, when does it stop? Crucible? Chill?
Yeah, I think but it's a slippery slope these days because, and this is just my opinion. I'm not advocating for obese people, but I do have quite a bit of empathy for them. I don't care if they ate themselves into that condition or if it's a pituitary issue. It doesn't matter. They're there, and that's what we have to deal with. But these days, I think they've been a marginalized group. I think there's a lot of people who have gotten to the forefront over the last 20 or 30 years in terms of having their voices heard. And there's a lot of stigma and a lot of negativity attached to obese people, and there's a lot of judgment involved. So these days, I think it would be difficult for an employee to win that argument, and I'm not saying an argument, but to go to HR, because these days, I don't know for sure, but obese people might even be classified under the Disabilities Act. And so if you're going to make accommodations for a larger stall in the bathroom for people who are in wheelchairs or have other physical limitations, you could make a case to say, well, they're disabled in some way. Then they may officially be, or they may not be officially. But I think these days employers are inclined to make as much accommodation for people who are in that situation as possible. And they may even be able to point to, the handbook to say everybody here is equal. We don't discriminate. It doesn't matter about weight, class, race, gender, anything like that. And it's in the handbook. So these days, I think they would be more of a protected class than they might have been 30 years ago. But if they're accommodating these people to the detriment of other people, then I think you have an unfair situation in the workplace. And at that point, you either have to suck it up or quit, I guess.
Okay. All right. I want to read something that DMAX says. He says the airlines will try to accommodate you in some way. You are part of the community of people who are taking the flight. Boss says I sat next randoms. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I sat to randoms on the flight home last week and had great conversation with them about their homeland, and I didn't get sick. I'm not sure what you mean. DMAX says HR knows discrimination rules. They are best to amicably resolve. Frankie, thank you very much. So Crucible and Chill. So do you think that if you have an employee that started out say they were working for you for 10 years, when they started working for you, they were size 5. I can only say sizes for women because I'm not sure how men's sizes go. And, over those 10 years, they went from a size 5 to a size 12 to a size 16 to a size 22. They keep getting heavier. Is it your responsibility as a job that you see this person is continuously gaining weight, and every time they come back to work, they're like, oh, hey, Joe, or hey, Sue, we bought you another chair, or we did this. Is that the job's responsibility to do that so their space will feel protected or whatever?
No, I don't think it is. But if you have a 10-year employee, I guess that kind of implies maybe that you have a decent relationship with this person. And the only way that I would broach it as an employer would be from a health standpoint. And it would be from this is none of my business. I care about you as a person, as a friend, as an employee. Certainly your personal decisions are your personal decisions, and I'm not going to tell you what to eat and not eat. But from a health standpoint, from a quality of life standpoint, if you want to come at it from that angle, that might resonate a little bit. But other than that, I don't know, getting a bigger chair. I mean, that's a very dicey conversation to have. I would think most employers would steer clear of it unless you've got, like I said, the kind of relationship where you could come at it from a more personal standpoint and say, I'm concerned about your health and ultimately maybe your ability to do your job. And if you kind of came at it that way and they say, well, what do you mean my ability to do my job? You might have to be more specific, because they may say, well, what does weighing 400 pounds have to do with my ability to put together a spreadsheet? And that's probably a fair comment. But I think if you can get into health slash ability to do the job, you might make some progress. Other than that, I think employers are inclined to just stay the hell away from it.
Okay. All right. Jill, did you want to jump in on anything?
I mean, it's always to some degree a employer's responsibility if you get to take care of their workers. I mean, you can't tell them what, like you said, what not to eat, what to eat. If somebody get big on the job, you can't fire them because that's the exact definition of discrimination. Um, it's hard to prove though a lot of times when that's the case. But I guess you can do that. But I, you know, I, I don't know. I really feel some kind of way about that because that's like you just hired a dude because he got big. And I know a situation of that. Do work for like an insurance company.
Okay, Jill, you just cut yourself off or you muted yourself. So, all right, guys. So, I'm going to wrap it up here. I think this was a good discussion. I think we covered a lot of stuff, and people were able to voice their opinions. Crucible, you have any last words?
Yeah, I just want to echo what you said earlier, Solid. I mean, in a perfect world, which I know we don't live in, individual and personal responsibility would solve a lot of these problems. We don't live in that environment, and I don't think we ever will. But I think being aware and being conscious of other people, being kind when there's an alternative to be kind, not always going the harshest route possible, and then taking into each situation on an individual basis, where there may be a case where you want to call somebody out on something and feel perfectly within your rights to do so, you may choose not to, or vice versa. So I think it's up to the individuals, and if we all took a little bit more, and I know it sounded like somebody's parent right now, but if we took a little bit more personal responsibility and a little bit more individual responsibility, thought a little bit more about other people, we're not going to solve everything, but I bet we could get about 3/4 of the way there.
Okay, DMAC, I just saw your comment, so now I have another question. You said it implies that it's a good um, employee. You kept them 10 years and want to do what you can to retain them. So, DMAC, now I just have a question, because now it's like, okay, so this person for 10 years, and they've gone from size whatever to size whatever, and yes, they are good. You do want to retain them. So does that mean the person who just came in, or now everyone who has something going on with them, and now you're spending all this money to accommodate them because you want to make sure that their space is okay, their individual space is okay, and they're not you know um you know messing with someone else's space or whatever. So now is this employer supposed to now start accommodating everyone, and when does it just get too much where the employer can't afford it? So now either Chill or Crucible, now I got another damn question. So
Yeah, I mean that's an interesting question because I think at some point, like I've been saying all along, who's ever in charge has a responsibility and has an obligation to the entire group, whether it's a restaurant or an airplane or a workspace. So you can always point to performance. And you can say, I understand how you feel about this situation, but this particular person has been here for X number of years. They've got an excellent rating. Their performance, their work is outstanding. Their health is a situation, yes, that they're aware of, but we evaluate people here on the basis of their work quality and their performance. And if you can draw that line, I think you can probably be okay with it. But if you start jumping through hoops for every single person who comes through the door and says, well, you did such and such for Bob, you did such and such for Sally, you're going to have chaos. So I think it's a case by case thing. But if you are comfortable falling back on performance and letting the rest of it go, and the person is actually performing well, that's kind of the caveat there, then I think that's something you can hide behind. Not that I want to use the word hide behind, but I think it's something you can defend.
Well, I mean, Crystal, I don't know, because if I see that you've, whether or not Sally, is exceptional and she's been doing her work well, and then got her this chair to accommodate her weight, and I've only been there for 3 months, and I'm this obese person, you wouldn't get a chair for me, and isn't that open for a lawsuit?
Well, that's an interesting point that you make, and I'm just going to make a real quick comment on that. And this is of a subjective thing, and I was a hiring manager for a number of years. And what ends up happening with hiring managers is they learn pretty quickly. And you don't want to necessarily communicate this to the obese employee or the employee that needs to be accommodated, because now you're really into some thin ice. But if you can, I lost my train of thought, so help me out here.
You were saying, I said that now you have this obese person who's been there for 3 months. You're not going to buy me a chair, and I
No,
said,
right. So
and couldn't I sue you?
right. So what happens with hiring managers is if you're going to get into those situations, and let's say I hire one or two overweight people and I get into this situation with other employees and I'm having to make accommodations, in the back of my mind, or maybe even in the front of my mind, I'm going to say to myself, I should probably think twice about hiring obese people, because they tend to create these situations. And in either subconsciously or consciously, you're going to make a decision. I'm not going to have that problem anymore. How do I solve it? I can't solve it once they're here. The only way I can solve it is to avoid it altogether. And so now you get into a situation where you don't hire obese people anymore, no matter what their credentials are and what their resume says. You want to avoid a sticky situation, a thorny situation down the road. And now all of a sudden, obese people are on the outside looking in. Again, you can't have that conversation with an obese person and say, well, you might not get hired next time, because that's discrimination. But at some point, hiring managers are going to make the decision, I don't need the aggravation. And now the burden goes back to the obese person. They can't get hired. They don't know why they can't get hired. But managers are self-preservationists. They want to do what's going to put them in the best position to succeed. And if every other week they're having to referee some discussion or some argument between an obese person or another employee, nobody wants that headache. So it's a double-edged sword for sure.
Okay. All right. Okay, now I'm wrapping up. Chill, are you still on the phone? Okay, I'm assuming he is. So once again, Crucible, do you have anything else you want to say? Because I am going to end the show.
No, very good show, solid, very stimulating conversation. Enjoyed it very much. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And everyone, as always, thank you for coming. Tomorrow, I am going to do my second live show on um, on TikTok. So I may be sitting there by myself, or maybe not, but I will not be on Podbean. It will be at 3 p.m. Pacific time. So right now for me, it is 2:47 Pacific time. So it will be tomorrow on TikTok. Salad Blue Sister. You can either find me Salad Blue Sister or My Turn to Talk. It will be on TikTok at 3 p.m. Pacific. So just a show, and I'm actually going to be posting something on Friendly Differences TikTok in regards to the show that I'm going to be doing, and I will be posting something on My Turn to Talk or Solid Blue Sister about the show, whatever. But anyway, I will be doing a live show if anybody wants to come, or I'll just sit there by myself and talk to myself for a while. But it's all good. But you guys, thank you as always. Thank you so much for coming. I thought this was a good show. Frankie, thank you very much um, for the super chats and the pod beans. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for liking the show. Jimmy, Chill, Mr. B, and Crucible, thank you for coming up on the panel. And thank you, everyone, for your input. So technically today is Thursday, which is my Friday, and I will not be back until, well, I don't know. I may do a show on the 4th or not. I don't celebrate the 4th, but I don't know if everyone else is going to be busy, whatever. So if anything, I'm just going to use that as a day for me to just work and catch up on my business. But and next week on the 5th, I will not be doing a show because we will be on Friendly Differences with Crucible, hopefully Chill, Feisty, maybe Caps, talking about the family unit. So we will be doing a show there, but it will not be live. But I will not be on next Tuesday, that's for sure. But Monday, I may or may not do a show. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But either way, you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. If you guys are going out, be safe and enjoy the rest of your day wherever, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and go where the wind takes you. Bye. Let's see. And that guy says DMAC HR is never there to help the employee, just to protect the company. That's true. And he says DMAC says protecting the company often involves protecting the employee. I guess it goes all two ways. No problem, Juju. No problem. I have, you know me, when I first started, I've been in shows where I've talked to myself. So I'm used to talking to myself. So when people show up on TikTok, great. If not, that's cool too. So you guys enjoy the rest of your day. And again, thank you so much. I do appreciate